Now, from the United States of America.
Hi, you have reached the Decahedron RPG Cast feedback line. Just start talking at the sign of the tone.
Hey, this is Jason. Just listened to episode 60 with Heathyr and Keith back. Great episode. Very interesting to hear their answers. Thank you for doing that. I look forward to what you're doing next. Keep up the great work.
That was Jason from the Nerds RPG Variety Cast. It's a great podcast. You should give it a listen. I talk about it a lot on this show, but that's because it is a great podcast. Hey, Jason, thanks for those comments. Nothing there to reply to other than thanks.
Joe, it's Evil Jeff. Hey, you just listened to your last two podcasts, especially the one with the interview of Heathyr and her husband. I agree with him about keeping work and personal life separate like that. A lot of times you just don't need extra baggage at work. And, unless there's people that you intend to be friends with at work, then, okay. So, yeah, I get that. I like to know what their opinions of role-playing would be after they maybe have played a lot longer and played some other games or even gone to a convention, how things would change there. So, yeah, good stuff. Also, how about hit me up on that Bloodport Isle? Let's see if we can do something together. All right, have a good one.
Hey, that is Evil Jeff. Evil Jeff is from the Minions and Musings podcast. Another great podcast. I like it a lot. Yeah, I say that about everyone that comments, but it's all true, really. Anyway, it is a great podcast. He hasn't put out a new episode in a while, kind of missing his voice, but it's nice that he is responding to us. And he and I have been talking about some other things, and we will leave that for when there is an actual announcement to make. But anyway, yeah, as for your first point about keeping work life separate from other life, yeah, that's you notice I never talk much about my jobs here other than, I say I have two of them, my full-time job and my part-time job, so-called part-time. It seems to take up more time than the regular job sometimes. Anyway, James is even more cryptic. I don't think we've ever talked about his employment or anything in his life there. And that's the way he wants it, and I can respect that for sure. So, yeah. As for Heathyr and Keith playing other games, yeah, I thought that was sort of a crime, if you will. And so that's, if you listen to the last episode that went out a couple days ago, you will hear that I invited them to play in a game of Traveler, and we made their characters. I'm trying to recruit a couple other players, I think, maybe. So they're not they have someone to latch on to type thing. And yeah, we're going to play over Roll20, and that will be that. As for a convention, I played for years and years before I ever went to a convention. Actually, when I was in tech school in Wichita Falls, 1984, the local university there, MSU, Midwest State University, had a little convention there on their campus called WonderCon, I guess. Yeah, and so I went there. Special guest was the dude who did the special effects for Terminator, which I hadn't heard of before that point. So I went to that convention. I played in a convention game where my character got bitten by a poison spider and died within the first 5 minutes of play. And that is the only con game I have ever played. Years and years later, when I was living in the Chicago area, and back then Gen Con was over in Milwaukee, which Milwaukee's not that far from the Chicago area. And when I just say the Chicago area, I was in what they call the far north burbs. And really, Chicago and Milwaukee were exactly the same distance away from me, about 45 minutes. While I was up there, I would go to Gen Con, but the only thing I did there was check out the dealer room. I'd walk around the dealer room and talk to folks and look at the wares that they had and the releases that we're making. So that's all I've ever done for a convention. So I don't know if they have any plans, although they are in Indiana. And that is where Gen Con happens these days. And of course, Gen Con is the mama of all gaming conventions. So yeah, that might be interesting. And finally, about your offer for Bloodport Isle to question me and quiz me about Bloodport Isle. I thank you for that. I'm going to take you up on that. But let's listen to this from Jason.
Hey, Joe, this is Jason. Just want to say I would like to hear more about Bloodport Isle. Whoops, that might be the wrong name. But I would be more interested in hearing about that setting. And if somebody more interesting or creative doesn't volunteer, I would volunteer to ask those questions.
Hey, thanks for that, Jason. Yes, you did get the name correct. It is Bloodport Isle. And thank you very much for that offer. As you heard, Evil Jeff has also offered. And I had this mad idea. Would you consider both doing it together? Both of you quizzing me, because you might come at Campaign Worlds from a slightly different point of view and might have different things you might want to know. And I think that would be an interesting episode. So, yeah, both of y'all, see, I'm starting to slip into my Texan there, even though I've been away from Texas for a long time and I grew up in Rhode Island. But anyway, both of y'all will let me know if you're interested in that. I would love to do that. Thank you much, sir.
Hey, Jason here. So I'm not familiar with American Gothic, but I do own Colonial Gothic. I have used that setting in 3 games now, and I haven't used the rule set at all. I've used ICRPG to run it, which worked very well. And these were all short adventures. They weren't campaigns. But we did one, and I'm trying to think. I think they were all pre-colonial government. They were all still when they were colonies before the Revolution. There was one in the mountains of Virginia, as it was what later became Western Virginia or whatever, where they ended up against Wendigo. There was one in New Jersey where they came up against the Leeds Devil, the Jersey Devil, which was an interesting one because the initial thing they came across was a hoax. It was somebody that had this big cutout made of cloth and sticks. They were trying to scare somebody off their land with a fake Leeds Devil, but then the real Leeds Devil showed up. And then the last one I did involved, it was based off a newspaper report from England about a reported interaction with a giant, or maybe from Wales, interaction with a giant, where that giant had managed to come over to America, and they had to deal with that. So not all heavy combat games by any means, but a lot of fun. So really neat setting, and I wish there was more going on in the RPG space with it. The most current thing I guess we have is Flames of Freedom, which uses the Zweihander system. Anyhow, let me get back to the show.
Hey, Jason, thank you for that. Yeah, I don't know if you're being tongue-in-cheek, slamming me on my little slip there, or if you were being very genuine. But yeah, the game is Colonial Gothic. American Gothic is that famous painting by, what was his name? Grant Wood, I think. And it's the one with the old couple standing outside a farmhouse, and the guy is holding a pitchfork, but he has like a jacket on with overalls underneath, like a sports coat almost type thing. Anyway, you'll know if you say, maybe I will make that tonight's, this episode's episode art. That might be a little funny. Anyway, so yeah, that was American Gothic is Colonial Gothic, as you said, is the name. So you said you use it, but not the rules. So now I'm curious. Like I said, I have this, but I've never really opened it up. I saw it in my friendly local gaming store one day, and I said, yes, this is exactly what I want. And I picked it up, and if I remember right, it was even shrink wrapped, which was a little irritating. But I picked it up and I put it down saying, yeah, I'll read this someday. I've never actually read it. So if you used it, but not for the rules, then what else is in there? Is there like a setting in there? My thought to it always was that it didn't need a setting because the setting is colonial America, right? And so what I don't get it. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to look in the book, but hey, you could just let me know. And as for your adventure there with the hoax, it sounded very Scooby-Doo, at least until the real creature showed up. And the infamous hoax turns real is a classic adventuring staple. The little double take there. I love it. Sounds like it was a fun game. Thank you for the call.
Good morning. This is Jason. I'm out here drinking my coffee. Dogs are playing in the backyard, and I've listened to your review of Through Dungeons Deep. Great. I hope I have that title right. Yep. Great episode. I will definitely find a copy of that book one way or another. It sounds like the original version's the way to go, although I'll probably just pick up the new print version because typos they can be pretty annoying. You know, those appendices they cut out are some of the main reasons I love Dicing with Dragons by Ian Livingstone. That's one of the books I think I called in as an optional. It's not the one I ended up picking, but I love that book. That's a book that I still have, you know, from the 80s and really enjoyed reading it back in the day. And one of the things I really loved about it was the discussion of the different systems that were out there, because back then it was harder to get games. And there were a lot of games that he talked about that I never saw. So I only got, at least back in the day, I never saw them. And so I only knew them through that book. So I'd read that book and look at the ads in Dragon Magazine, things like that. But anyway, great episode. And I will definitely pick a copy of that book up. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, Jason. Thanks for calling again. Yes, you did get the title right again. It's called Through Dungeons Deep. You have to watch out when you buy it because there is another book with that same name. And actually, it's the first line of one of Tolkien's poems. And that's why everyone latches onto it. So, yeah, it's the one Through Dungeons Deep, A Fantasy Gamer's Handbook is the full title with the subtitle. And again, Robert Plamondon, Plamondon is the author's name. Of course, I had the links in the show notes for that thing, for that episode. But yeah, I agree. If you can find a copy, like scour eBay and maybe Books A Million or something, see if you can find the original. That is the way to go. It's a nice hardcover. Like I said, nothing was improved in the newer version. He took out those things, and of course, in the e-copy, there's those typos. They're not in the other copy. Like I said, I came across a few light edits here and there. Like he does recommend playing D&D 3rd edition because that's when he updated it. And old reviews, yes, old reviews are wonderful. In fact, when I pick up like old copies of of The Dragon or of, Space Gamer or whatever old gaming mag there is, I love to look at the reviews. And in fact, there is a review I came across it a couple weeks ago. I think it was in Space Gamer, but don't hold me to that. Anyway, it was by Mike Stackpole, and he's reviewing a whole bunch of Judges Guild stuff at once. And I think that article is going to be the basis of an entire episode all by itself, because that harkens back to like one of our first episodes that we ever did where I said something and I said, I read this review once and it rubbed me such the wrong way. I think that might be the review. Another neat thing about looking at the old magazines is looking at the adverts. And I don't know if you will remember this advert, but I remember seeing it in the back of the Dragon, or Dragon probably as it was at the time. I don't know, maybe mid to late 80s. And it talked about the store called Crazy Igor's. And I don't know, it left an impression on me. I think it was a ripoff of like Crazy Eddie's, which was a famous TV commercial. I guess that was happening around here in the States at the time. The thing is, as I've said before, 85 to 88 is when I lived over in the United Kingdom. So a lot of what was happening here in the States is kind of lost on me because I was there and I wasn't one of those people who lived there and only watched like American stuff and, wished I was back in America. The United Kingdom was an awesome and wonderful, marvelous place. And yeah, I watched the local shows. Anyway, the point of all this is when I moved here, where I currently live, Rochester, New York, one of the first things I did was scope out the local gaming store. And I found this awesome gaming store. And wouldn't you know it, it was Crazy Igor's. So there you go. It's just one of those small world things or proof that we're living in a simulation. Yeah, he had a really great store, and he even invited me to play at his table at his home, which was an awesome offer, and I seriously considered it. But I got the impression that he was far more into the tactical wargamey parts of it than I am, and I don't think I would have enjoyed that. And I think my ineptness at it probably would have brought the table down. But yeah, it was an awesome offer, and I do regret not taking up on it. Anyway, thanks for the call.
Joe and James, Evil Jeff. Just listened to the latest where you gave away the book. Thank you for giving away that book. I'm glad that I won. That was pretty cool. And by the way, the book arrived. And just so you know, I want to say that was probably one of the more interesting ways of giving away a book. I hadn't thought about doing it that way, but kudos to you for putting a gaming theme on it, or maybe it was a gambling thing. I don't know. But anyway, thanks a lot for the book, and hopefully I'll enjoy reading it after listening to the two of y'all talk about it. Looks like some good stuff, and I'll just take my time with it. Have a good day.
Evil Jeff. Hey, thanks for the call, sir. You thanked us for the book, and you're welcome, but thank you very much for entering the giveaway. I really super duper appreciate that. And I like the way that you liked the way that we decided to give it away. I was coming up with all sorts of ideas of how to do it, and I wanted to be really transparent that it was genuine. We didn't pick who we wanted. I'm sure people would trust me because whatever. But yeah, having both of us roll, we're hundreds of miles away. I figured that made it very difficult to the game, and I thought it would add some tension there. So I hope it did it. I hope it made it. Well, you said it was interesting, so I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I would say it's a gaming spin, not a gambling spin, because I don't gamble. I'm not morally opposed or anything. I just understand math and logic. They spend billions putting up a casino. They don't spend billions to give away money. Anyway, the only other thing I'm going to say, I'm glad you got the book. There's a funny story there. So when we were doing the review, I went online, right, and to look up the prices, and everything was cool. And then you won. I sent you the request for your address. You sent it back to me, and then I went onto Amazon to order the book, and it was gone. There were just like overpriced other people doing it and everything, and I was like, what? So I went to the publisher's site, and he just links to Amazon, and that link was down. And I couldn't find the copy. I'm like, oh no, am I going to have to buy him like one of the classic copies? That's like $150. I mean, I would have if I had to, because I made the announcement that we were giving this away. And I believe, I believe that if a man doesn't keep his word, he's not a man type thing. And that's really gender neutral, but whatever, honor is everything, right? I eventually went to Barnes and Noble though, and I found it there. And so I ordered it, and a few days later it showed up again on Amazon. So I don't know if he was updating the listing or what was happening, but in any case, I'm glad you got it. Thanks again for the call, and happy reading.
Hey guys, it's Jason. Just listened to your award show. Congratulations, Evil Jeff. All really great entries, really interesting stuff. So thank you so much for putting that contest on. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to hear the interesting things that people submit. As you know, I'm quite a fan of contests myself. So take care. Keep up the great work.
Thank you for those kind words, Jason. Yes, I know that you are a fan of contests because I stole the idea from you. Hey, folks, if you don't listen to Jason's show, it seems like almost every month he is having a giveaway of some sort. I've entered a few times. I've never won. I'm not bitter. He has a lot of people entering. He's not the three that I get. He gets, I don't know, feels like hundreds. It's not. But anyway, This month's contest, as you're listening to this is June of 2023, and actually this is going for June and July. He is doing a Morrow-themed contest, and the conceit of the contest is that it is 1985, and you are getting ready to be stored in deep freeze to be pulled out when the world emerges from the coming darkness. And you can take 3 books, movies, albums, I think that was everything, with you. And he wants to know what those 3 things would be, the 3 of each, I guess. And I don't know what the prize is. I don't enter for the prizes. I enter because it's fun. And anyway, so that's what his is this month. Be sure to check out his show, Nerds RPG Variety Cast. Links for that are in the show note. And Evil Jeff's show, Minions and Musings, of course, links are going to be for that in the show notes as well. Everyone, thank you very much for listening. I'm glad you tuned in. I did get to all the voicemails. We have nothing else in the queue. We'll see if I edit them all, though, because this episode goes live in 5.5 hours, and some of that time is just dedicated to family time. So I need to get that edited and put up before family time starts. So I'm going to sign off rather quickly. Thanks again for listening. Please continue to send us your feedback at decahedron.com. Call the voice line or sayhi.chat/decahedron. All those methods are in the show notes. They are in the outro music bit that you're about to hear, probably hearing it now, and they're all listed at decahedron.com. Again, decahedron is with a K. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, happy gaming, happy life. Bye. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Decahedron RPG Cast. We'd love to hear from you. You can leave us a voice message by calling 562-774-2278. That's 562-RPG-CAST. Or by visiting sayhi.chat/decahedron. You can also email us at feedback@decahedron.com. Links are in the show notes. For more information, visit decahedron.com. Remember that Decahedron is spelled with a K. Music is by Kevin MacLeod. Logos by Design Cat. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep those dice rolling.